This podcast is brought to you by, well, it's not brought to you by anybody, and you know what? Really, that's okay. I just wanted all of the anime addicts out there to know that I love all you guys, and I've loved you all for a long time doing this podcast, and, you know, if you want to help out the podcast, that's cool, and if you don't, you know, I still love you. You could still come over and have dinner at my place. We could watch anime and be good buddies, because, you know what? It's all about the anime love, you know? Really. And if you do want to help out the podcast, you know it's over at aaapodcast.com/join or Patreon. But you know what? I hope regardless, you just enjoy this podcast today, and I hope you have a great rest of your week. And now let's start the show.
One day at the train station on their way home from rehearsal, Hana trips and falls into the oncoming path of a locomotive. The girls grab her and try to pull her off the tracks as the train comes barreling towards them. But instead, she accidentally pulls all of them along with her, smeared like ketchup stains along the tracks.
Jeez.
The girls seem to have met their untimely end at the hands of their clumsy compatriot.
Get ready! You're about to listen to the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. Make your anime addiction worse at aaapodcast.com. And now, here are your anime addicts.
Hello, everybody, to episode 583 of the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast, where we are dedicated to making your anime addiction worse. Happy 4th of July weekend to those of you that blew shit up this weekend. I do appreciate you for that, and you are following in the footsteps of many of my hillbilly brethren from West Virginia. Of course, I am your host, Mitsuki, today, and I'm going to guide you through this podcast. We also, on the podcast today, we have two fantastic athletes in our lineup.
Oh boy.
Y'all ready for this?
Hailing from Chicago, Illinois, power forward, number 82, 6 foot 4 inches, the pillar of dominance himself, Mason.
Oh my goodness! Thank you for having me. 6'4". I wish, my dude. 82 is not a bad guess for the number, but so glad to be here today. You guys missed it for the last, 5 minutes. Mitsuki has just been smiling like a doofus as he just enjoys this immense pump-up jam, and I'm feeling the vibes.
And hailing from Lower State, New York, guard at a mere 5'5", the Muggsy Bogues of basketball herself. It's Caroline.
Hello. And yeah, you're pretty accurate on the height there. 5'4", actually. Thank you very much for your accurate description.
You know, I'm a little upset, though, with my Chicago roots, not getting the Chicago Bulls' iconic entrance music.
Oh, for God's sake. You expect me to know what that is?
Yes,
right,
I do. Actually, you might not know it off the top of your head, but if you played it, if you look up Chicago Bulls, like, warm-up music with the the piano, immediately you'll be like, oh, okay, I know exactly what this is.
All right, well, guys, if you want to follow us on social media, it is Monday today. It's an unusual recording time for us, but we normally record on twitch.tv/AAA Podcast live. That's right, live, Sundays at 5 p.m. Eastern, so don't miss out. People on Twitch are already highly confused. It's like, why are they doing it on the 5th? Well, yesterday was a holiday and Mitz was drunk.
Because
so,
freedom.
okay. That's enough of that. And we also are on Facebook, so you can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on Twitter. And if you don't follow us on Facebook or Twitter, Caroline will be sad because she handles social media and she'll just be like, I get no love.
I know.
So.
It's so sad.
So we also are on Discord. If you go to our website, aaapodcast.com, after you're done throwing us a couple bones, or not, you can go to our Discord. There's a Discord button on the top. You can enter the Discord, which is the black hole of all anime fandom where we absorb all people into our community. So head over to our Discord and we'll be nice to you, I promise. Mason, did you whore yourself out on another podcast this weekend?
I certainly did.
Oh my
Actually,
gosh.
a couple, but I guess the first and most noteworthy one, because it is now out, I was on Talkin' Anime, episode 40. Not just with them, but I was a co-guest with Sam from Anime Summit, who has actually been on this show before, so that was a great little crossover. We talked about music and Beck, one of Enzo's all-time favorite anime, so that was a real good discussion. Links in the show notes. I was on another podcast as well, which will not be named because it's not out yet, but that took like 48 hours of material to prep for, so it took quite a while.
Christ.
And also, I want to announce... I'll be going to Otakon, the big East Coast convention that Mitz, you used to go to back in the heyday.
Yeah. Yep, it's true.
But it's one of the first big conventions coming back after all of this. So if you're feeling safe, if you're feeling comfortable with the climate and environment of it all, I'll be there August 6th through the 8th in Washington, D.C. So come say hi or hang out or do whatever, and we'll see if we can do a big old meetup of it. So... that's my big update for the week.
Is Otakon still the massive convention it used to be? Because when I was going, it was like 25,000 people or more.
So I think it got up to like the low 30s. And then after it left Baltimore to go to Washington, D.C., I think it dipped for a bit. And now it's on its way back up. Obviously, with last year being canceled and this year being, so soon after... I mean, not that it's completely past us, but so soon after the COVID situation, we will see what kind of turnout we get. But it'll be interesting to see how well they do with the mask mandate, how well they do with just keeping everyone clean and distance, and we'll see what kind of turnout they get. So it'll be very intriguing to see what comes of all that.
All right. Well, I hope you have fun. I definitely have some good memories from Otakon, mostly because they are willing to do very naughty things late at night. And it's always fun to kind of have the adult content. So whether or not you enjoy that, I hope you and everybody else has a good time. And stay tuned. I think we're going to have a couple more appearances on other podcasts here in short order. We have had some guests, and so we will be revisiting them here on the other side. So we'll keep you posted there in case you want to hear us over on their podcast as well. And I know that they would want us to let you know about that because that's, it's part of the point. So, well then, on this podcast today, we are going to be doing it. It's a longtime favorite, on this podcast. How many times have we done Anime Shark Tank now on this podcast?
I don't know.
12. I don't know. I'm guessing.
Well, we're going to be doing Anime Shark Tank today. So we've had enough submissions from our lovely people.
People were screaming for it on social media.
Oh, were they?
Oh, a little bit. There was at least one person that was like, hey, when are we going to do Anime Shark Tank? And we're like, coincidentally, this week.
Yep. So if you want to leave a Shark Tank submission, you can go over again to our website, aaapodcast.com. The mailbag button on the top actually contains the location where you would also do Shark Tanks. So you can click that and submit your Shark Tank ideas. And also, after that, we're going to be doing the review of Wonder Egg Priority, which I think is a Mason joint from way back in like the winter, I think, where this is like the pretty much close to wrapping up everything from the winter. So. And on that note, is there anything else we need to cover before I shuffle you like the good host I
just
am?
want to say behind the scenes, I went through like 20 different screenshots for our title image for this episode. I just couldn't decide on what image I wanted for it. And I kept on just replacing what it was and driving Mitsugi insane. So I hope you guys appreciate it as much as I do because it's so fresh. Oh, look at that. Yeah. I love it.
Nothing drives me more insane than heterochromia in anime.
Love it. Hey.
Okay,
big
you
fan.
Can chill out. She's adorable. Okay, she can pass.
I mean, yeah, she is. But like, if you had heterochromia in real life, your eyes probably wouldn't look that extreme. Just saying.
Sure, but this is anime. Anyway, I got nothing else.
All right. Well, in that case, I'm gonna move us along here.
It's time for big news of the week.
All right, well, I'm a huge Anime Cell fan, and there have been some pretty interesting things going on in the world of Anime Cells here in the past couple weeks. There was an auction held by Heritage Auctions that between the 25th and the 27th of June, it had 928 lots of anime-related art, and they sold $2.1 million worth of anime art, which I think is a record, and it attracted 2,853 bidders. They had a sell-through rate of about 100% of all the stuff that they were trying to sell. And they had they broke some records in terms of the value of anime sales. And I've got a couple of the really high sellers up here up on the Twitch for you guys. And they're in our show notes if you want to check them out. Record-breaking prices were set for collectible sales from movies such as My Neighbor Totoro, Princess Mononoke, Kiki's Delivery Service, and Akira, which I guess, Akira is like one of the only movies that's going to slide in there amongst the Ghibli movies. My Neighbor Totoro had a cell depicting Satsuki and Mei in the rain at the bus stop that got 69 bids before it sold for $84,000, which I think is the highest amount anybody's ever bought an anime cell for publicly. There was also a scene with Mei and Satsuki in front of the cat bus, which is right at the end of the movie when he's about to take them to the hospital. Mei has the corn that she's like carrying around after she's lost. That one sold for $72,000, which was nearly 29 times its pre-auction estimate. So I guess they thought it was going to sell for like $2,500, and it just people went ape shit. Also, an unbelievable sell from Akira, featuring Kaneda on his motorcycle, which is like in the flashback sequence where Tetsuo is remembering Kaneda as when they were kids or whatever. He's like looking back, and it just looks fucking amazing. Sold for $78,000 against the pre-auction estimate of $5,000. So that's, what is that? That's like 15 times, a little more than 15 times the anticipated amount. And a sequence of 4 anime cells, also from Akira, Kaneda on his motorcycle, sold for $78,000. So, just crazy. I mean, I'm going to kind of flip through these images here just so people on Twitch can see them. Just a really big victory for anime art. It proves, one, that we may have more auctions like this in the future, and 2, that anime really is art and it's viable as collecting. So, Mason?
Oh, I was just going to say, looking at this picture of Satsuki and Mei, where she's holding the corn, for some reason in my head, I'm picturing the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where he's like, "Can I offer you a corn in this trying time?" I don't know why, but that's what I'm thinking of. But yeah, these are awesome cells. I mean, all of these would be iconic. And obviously the one of them in the rain waiting for the bus around time where Totoro shows up is one of the most iconic scenes of that entire movie. So it makes sense that one is worth as much as like 4 from Akira.
I'm surprised.
I wonder where their cells are with them standing in the rain, but with Totoro next to them.
Oh my God.
I wonder where that's at and how much that's got to be.
That's in the Louvre.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it just goes to show like somewhere Studio Ghibli has millions, just tens of millions of dollars of anime cells just sitting in some warehouse. And at some point in our lifetimes, there's going to be someone's going to decide, hey, it's time to let these go, and they're gonna like that anime cell will be available in about 25 million other anime cells that Ghibli's probably got in some warehouse, and it's probably going to lower the value of them all generally because they're going to be so available. But I mean, it's going to be wild, and that cell with the cat bus is a fucking great cell. I mean, it's a little bit of a shame that Mei and Satsuki are looking away from the camera in it, but it's really more of a cell of the cat bus than it is of Mei and Satsuki, and for it to fill, I assume 100% of the cell overall is just fantastic. I'm not really shocked. I mean, I am shocked it went for $72,000 or whatever, because there's a cell you can buy like right now on eBay of Mei getting ready to crush one of the soot sprites right at the beginning of the movie, and it's a great shot of Mei's face. It's a great action shot, and that thing is already framed, and they only want like $3,000 for it. So I think some of these people were drunk, probably.
Now, Ghibli doesn't use cells anymore in their animation, right?
No one uses cells anymore.
Right.
Cells stopped being used like around 2002, I think.
What if they started using them again? At least for Ghibli, they could probably net money just using cells in their animation again and then selling them off if they get popular.
Yeah.
It's so costly and inefficient, though. We can't slow them down anymore. I mean, if anything, they
Yeah, I
would
guess
sell the
so.
cells they already have to like fund their next 5 projects or save anime completely.
I'm gonna pass it on to Mason here, but I just want to note that there was a lot of news this week, and I have the other two most pertinent things that I would have discussed here in the news break. So if you wanna, don't skip the news break. I know you guys say you don't skip the news break, but I know some of you do, so don't skip it. Mason, what do you got?
I've got this new Star Wars version of the Animatrix, which will be coming out in September 22nd on Disney+. And by that I mean essentially 10 shorts of, quote, Japanese anime studios offering a fresh and diverse cultural perspective of the Star Wars franchise will be coming out, announced at an AX Light panel where Lucasfilm revealed the studios and some of the creators involved. And of the people doing it, I'm super excited for it. You have studios like Trigger, Studio Colorido, Jano, Science Saru, Kinema Citrus, Kamikaze Doga, like so many quality, innovative new studios, as well as classics like Production IG on board. So a lot of big name people working on it, including Kenji Kamiyama, who did like Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, which I think would be a cool fit, as well as all sorts of other interesting folks that I'm excited to see how they spin Star Wars into their little styles and universes. So are either of you guys big on Star Wars? And if so, what do you guys think about this?
Have not seen anything Star Wars.
Nothing.
No, I've planned on it, but I never did.
You haven't. All right, wait a second. Not even like the old movies, like.
No.
Oh man. Okay. I'm looking for my fail drop here. For
Sad
shame.
lightsaber sounds. That's a pretty good one.
For someone who's never seen Star Wars.
Yeah. Well, it is a shame. You know.
On the other hand, though, she's never experienced Jar Jar Binks, so I think she's net positive
Have I
in
been
life.
saved, though? Have I been saved from that?
I think so. I think to some degree. How about you, Mitz?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen. I'm not a big Star Wars fan, honestly, but I have seen probably 80% of all the movies, and I've played several of the video games, and you know, I haven't watched like the TV shows or whatever, but I've definitely seen. You know, I've also seen like the recent. What were those like recent ones that they did? I can't
Like
remember
the
all-
Mandalorian, stuff like that?
I
Or
can't remember all the
Clone
movie-
Wars?
Yeah, they had
There's
all.
a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. They had like all the little spin-off movies. Like I've seen all of those, you know. But this is interesting news. I think it was probably one of the bigger items of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Are you
No,
a
I
big-
just like experimental works where anime studios get to flex with properties they might not normally get to touch and bring a interesting dynamic to it. So, you know, despite not being a big Star Wars fan myself, I'm definitely interested in how this project comes together, and hopefully they're not too stifled by Lucasfilms trying to shoehorn them into particular canon entries and lets them really run wild. But it'll be fun to see either way.
Yeah, I know this is
I
like
don't
a,
assume you'll need Star Wars knowledge to get or understand or enjoy these pieces.
yeah. I mean, this is like a big crossover between two people's great fandoms. I know Star Wars fans exist amongst every fandom, but to have a crossover between this and sort of anime, I think is definitely really interesting. So and I don't man. I guess I do have access to Disney Plus, but I don't really use it. So I'm not like a big Disney fan. So, but I guess Disney does control everything.
Boo.
So, yeah, boo Mitsugi. So here's Pancake. She's a big Star Wars fan. So I don't. She's up here rummaging in
Hello,
the closet.
Pancake.
She'll make you watch
She's
it. There we
making
go.
So yeah,
You
sure.
got a man on the inside.
Yeah, we'll see about all that. All right. Well, yeah, I know this was a big piece of news. So probably the biggest of the week.
Well, shall we move on to our main topic of the day?
Well, there it is.
Well, there it is.
Who are the sharks? They're self-made business experts worth billions. Mitsugi is a self-proclaimed holy man and a world-renowned enemy of moe girls. Raised billions for his church through the Kick the Filth into the Pit of Anime Hell Foundation to lead the fight against moe. Mason, retail empire king and all-around food fanatic, started a grassroots movement and raised $500 million through his new retail food-themed line of skin creams called Pleasures of the Flesh. Caroline, a once humble social media giant turned queen of all media when she founded Otome Radio and built a net worth of $5 billion, blanketing the world in Otome radio waves. These are the sharks, and this is Anime Shark Tank.
Get wrecked, motherfuckers.
I love how suave the music is, and then Mitz's voice comes in so rough. He's like, whoa! You're like, oh boy.
I feel like we need some sort of mic drop, like a boom at the end. Well, this was Anime Shark Tank. We solicit plot ideas and money-making schemes from our listeners. We pick the best ones, and we say whether or not we are going to accept them with our fake cash. So, shall we get started?
Speak for yourself. I'm making it rain, bitches.
Yeah.
We got Monopoly money over here. So you will hypothetically earn our credit card numbers or not. But either way, we always love when you guys submit them, whether or not we decide to fund them or not. So
You know
good
Fake
luck,
fund them.
contestants.
You know what?
We gotta
Much
make
like
sure we let them know we are not actually funding anything.
much like Granddad from the Boondocks, you can now refer to me as Rain and Bitches for the rest of this segment. Thank you.
I will think I'll just call you Mitsugi. So apparently these are pretty long. I think like maybe in the future we should say like they have to be under this amount of words.
Oh,
or
we
something
already
like
do that.
Really?
Yep.
And they're still long?
Yep. It says how many words you're allowed to do on the form when you for the submission, but there's no way to really stop anybody from submitting like really long ones.
So I did try to read through these quickly and reduce it. And at least I will say these are all pretty well written for the most part.
Okay.
So
good.
I appreciate that inclusion. So if we have to cut any of it out, it's just for time. We don't mean anything personal. We do know how to read. You have to believe me.
Maybe
And,
not Mitsugi, but at least us two. We know how to read.
Let's see how many we can get through, and we'll just save the rest for a future episode. Because we always love doing these.
you don't want to start some shit with Rain and Bitches, okay?
Leaving them wanting more.
or else you're gonna get some stitches. All right.
Oh boy.
All right. So the first one is from Endmonot. Endmonot. Title is Guys und. Do I just say this like I'm German? I guess Guys und Kampfflugzeug. Or
It's pretty good.
Guys and Planes. The studio is Actus, the returning studio from Girls in Panzer. Guys und Kampfflugzeug will be a spin-off series of Girls und Panzer, sharing the same universe and character crossover, similar in scope to something like a certain scientific railgun and a certain magical index. The series will center around boys' academies Sentoki Dole, the teams readying themselves for and competing in the National Combined Arms Tournament. The initial series will be slated for 13 episodes, but by nature of its sister series, will be open to movies and additional seasons upon reception from audiences. The synopsis: Takeshi Umeda is a 17-year-old student of Eisenhower Boys Academy, sister school to Saunders University High School, and preparing to exit his first year of high school as the ace pilot of the Eisenhower Sentoki Dole team, due to his family's long history of flight and honor, along with his own personal talent for the sport. That is an unbelievable run-on sentence. However, due to the unfortunate argument with the team captain, who wants him to fly the American F-80 Shooting Star in the coming Combined Arms Tournament, he suddenly quits and decides to transfer to Kodai Boys School, Oadai Girls Academy's sister school, which I guess is how it's connected to Girls in Panzer. For his second year, knowing Oadai Sensha Dole team took home the national championship last year, he is bewildered to find The team an utter mess of delinquents and uninspired members with no captain and no intention of being ready for or competing in national combined arms tournaments. Will he be able to whip his new team into shape in time for the tournament? So merchandising, how is this shit going to make any money? Well, while normal avenues of art books and Blu-rays, etc., are all, of course, available, the uniqueness of this title opens new doors for merchandising such as Nendoroids, which is not really new, aircraft model kits, also not new, clothing and jerseys based around the different schools of the series, and much more. Well, what do you guys think? Caroline?
Well, I have not watched Girls in Panzer, so I don't know much about the show this is going to be based off of, and if the fans of this show are looking for something similar but in boys' version. And also, it does seem pretty standard sports team in high school. You're trying to save the club.
Pretty
thing.
standard.
As much as I kind of like the idea, I think that just means I have to watch Girls in Panzer. And so I am not entirely sure if this is something I want to put my fake money behind.
Mason?
Yeah, it definitely seems like a step back in. I'm not going to call Girls in Panzer a innovative series, but it was such a weird mashup of moe cute girls doing these highly absurd technical tank maneuvers in combat. And it was such a bombastic idea that somehow worked because of, the dichotomy between the elements. Here, as much as, gender equality is great, like, no one cares about boys doing realistic plane stuff. It just doesn't have the same appeal as tank drifting. So it seems like, yeah, you'd get some of the fans and some of the appeal. It seems like an inherently less creative show than Girls und Panzer was. It's, just going to forever be in the shadow of its predecessor. So, I mean, I could see it being a fun show, but probably not one innovative enough for me to put my money behind it.
Bottom line, I think the question is that are the boys cute enough and appealing enough to follow in the footsteps of the girls of Girls in Panzer? Because I think Girls in Panzer is ultimately like about, oh my god, the cute girls. And because I've seen that anime and it's not, it's not a bad show, but you're watching it for the girls. So, and I just have doubts about that. So, there's plenty of these cute boy shows, but I don't think they're really flying jets in them. So, it's mostly like Mystic Messenger. Let's call up my boyfriend on the cell phone or Amnesia. These weird crazy shows that I've seen before. So I'm gonna have to pass on this one as well. I think we were all pretty much out on this, were we not?
I think so.
Sorry.
And I've written it for you.
This is
that
such a
doesn't happen
special
very often.
Okay.
In cash, I know because I like to watch it flow. When I ask valuation, I want no hesitation. Are you worth $10 million? Hell no.
Hell no, you better back up off fucking bitches, because I'm going to come in here and kick your ass. All right, who's up next?
So aggressive.
Your persona's getting a little assholery.
No, it's okay. It's on brand. Someone's got to do it.
Have you ever watched Shark Tank? These people are assholes.
Yeah, a little bit.
We literally shot down this guy's airplane idea. I feel a little bad. But we're still going to do it. Moving on.
Have fun reading this
so
Japanese. Holy shit.
Yes, so General Mills here made an idea with a lot of work being put into its title. So we got,
wow.
Oh no, I've been transported to another world with my Takarazuka troop. Yeah, and we're all buff boys now. Or, oh no, Takara desuka giden to isho ni isekai ni hakobo rete kimashita. Ima wa mina bafu boy desu. Or Takara Bafu.
I want to say, while you catch your breath, General Mills is a psychic because we do have a Takarazuka troop anime coming out this upcoming season.
Sorry, what's a Takarazuka?
It's a style of play in Japan, or I guess a troupe, where all the roles are done by females. So both the female and male roles are done by females, and it's interesting, which is why they're all now Bafu Boy
boys.
des.
Bafu boys.
So, what's Takara Bafu all about? So we got Hana, Suki, Yuki, Hoshi, and Cosmos. Ooh. They're all best friends and perform together in the Takarazuka Revue. One day at the train station on their way home from rehearsal, Hana trips and falls into the oncoming path of a locomotive. The girls grab her and try to pull her off the tracks as the train comes barreling towards them. But instead, she accidentally pulls all of them along with her, smeared like ketchup stains along the tracks.
Jeez.
The girls seem to have met their untimely end at the hands of their clumsy compatriot. Damn, okay. Took a trip. Instead, they wake up in a fantasy world. Although it's nothing like the girls could have imagined. Obese dragons, elves with cankles, and knights in shining larder. God. Everyone in this world has let themselves go. To top it off, the girls themselves have been transformed not into magical girls or overpowered isekai heroes, but into incredibly stacked, absolutely ripped, completely and utterly beefy, brawny, and muscular men. Follow our Genki group of girls turned men as they spread the word of a healthy lifestyle to the residents of this world through the only way they know how: song. So, the monetization scheme we have here is 2 voice actors for each character, both male and female, with performances from both in the anime's official soundtrack release, the inner voice of the Moe girls and the burlesque and sultry tones of macho men. Weekly talk show following the episode where the voice actors and actresses offer various tips on staying in shape and give musical performances. Sponsorship opportunities with various fitness equipment companies and gyms can be easily worked into this talk show section and allow funding for the anime. Lots of opportunities for parody and references to other famous series like JoJo's, Sailor Moon, etc. that will allow for collaboration events and bring in fans from other franchises. This show can appeal to a variety of audiences, and the idea would be for it to air on Sunday afternoons and mornings to a family-friendly audience. Otaku will no doubt be all over the references to other franchises, expansive seiyuu cast, isekai tropes, etc. So the goal here is to grab the younger audiences and their families. General Mills, that was a lot.
Very ambitious plan. I like to think that, so they're not actually like attacking or fighting any of the characters, good or bad. They're merely getting them into shape so that they can fight one another. I'm assuming that's what it is. Yeah. It definitely just feels like how heavy are the dumbbells you lift, but where everyone is doing side chestos in a fantasy world.
Sando chesto.
I don't know if I would watch it, but it seems like you did put some thought into the monetization route. And by inherently making it just family friendly, that's how you get money back in Japan. So I could be tempted. What do you think, Mitz?
Mitsuki.
Or Caroline, he's dead.
I would say that it's an isekai. So, I mean, it kind of makes sense. Is this Train-kun?
Train-kun,
yeah,
yes.
Train-kun.
Locomotive-kun,
or
to be exact.
Truck-kun had a change of he's now a train conductor instead of a driver. Yeah, I mean, these isekai shows make a shitload of money because, I don't know, for whatever reason. And this one seems to be pretty funny and could have a lot of people following it. So, I mean, I would tentatively say that I could get behind this. I mean, I think this is something that I think would have a pretty large audience if it were to come out generally.
Sorry, I'm just eating my almonds. I also like this idea. I think it's funny, and a lot of stuff is going on in this, but it does not sound like it's going to be like big boobs, big butts, the anime, because it's an isekai, because you're going to make it family friendly, and I like that. And generally sounds pretty funny. And there's a lot of thought that went into this. So I think I am going to support this one.
Wow, we don't have to play another mean drop. I like the mean
Not
drops.
yet, we won't. Not yet.
Uh-oh. All right,
No,
Mason.
no, it's good. No, it's good. It's good. I don't know how often we'll be able to work in the original Genki group of girls. Like, I feel like we've kind of gotten away from their performance aspect. I know they're doing the songs, but I wonder if they'll have to put on any collaborative efforts. But I think there's room for workshopping, but I like the foundation.
So will you support?
I will support it. Yeah.
Are we all
Wow.
supporting?
We did.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Congrats, General Mills.
Don't get too cocky, though.
Yeah. Can't let them get comfortable. They're still in the hot seat.
All right, Mason, you're up.
Next one, no positive drop. We don't have happy
positive
drops. Oh, okay,
Everything's negative here, apparently.
that's what I love to hear. Next one comes from Cooper, and it's called The Superior Deep, a 26-episode high fantasy adventure that follows two sisters into a perilous underground world. Equipped only with their wits and an array of magical artifacts, the sisters must navigate deeper into a strange subterranean kingdom, uncovering cultures, biomes, and creatures unlike any on the surface. Through their journey, they discover more about themselves, one another, and the secrets that lurk beneath the comfort of daylight. The longer episode count is imperative to creating an effective and nuanced world. Income would primarily come from two sources: the plushies and models of the various cute and ferocious creatures, as well as a tabletop RPG companion guide compatible with major games like D&D and Pathfinder. This guide would include a bestiary, world-building details, cultures, pantheons, geography, etc., and multiple storylines, including both the narrative of the anime and original stories set within that universe. So, this sounds like Made in Abyss.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there isn't a lot like Made in Abyss out there, I don't think.
True.
Usually it's just, isekai, and then there's fantasy elements, but this is like an actual fantasy world that will allow them to explore different, as they said, like different cultures and interesting geography and all that. So if they were to get it looking very, very beautiful and get some good music behind it, it could be something that would be an interesting watch.
It seems more like a vertical, what is the thing? Somali and the Forest Spirit.
Yeah.
Where it's not so much like, oh, this messed up creature is here. It's more like there's a whole little layer and like town at each level. So it seems like it could be good. There's not a ton of people tapping into that. I'm personally not the biggest fan of high fantasy, but I could see the incorporation with D&D and tabletop as a fun little like mixed media project.
Well, first of all, we wanted a positive drop. All I have for you is UDA meowing, so
Nyang.
you just have to take that.
God.
There you go. You asked for it. So that was General Mills' reward. So fantasy shows just don't do well in anime. It seems like they don't come out often because no one's watching them, and when they do come out, they seem to come and go without much memory of them happening. When they do well, it seems like they bring something usually extremely unexpected, or or they excel greatly at some specific thing. And this one just doesn't sound like it has enough original content to the sort of concept that I think that people would really gravitate towards it in an unusual way. You know, we've had shows like this. You know, even a show like Somali and the Forest Spirit came and went like the wind, and I don't think anybody really gave a shit. So, you know, I mean, I think what you're hunting for is like the next Attack on Titan. You're hunting for the show that's going to make a ton of money, the big successful concept. And I don't know, I've never heard anybody talking about Somali and the Forest Spirit since it came out. So, you know, or like or Ancient Magus Bride, or like one of these. Like, they come and go. People love them when they're there, but then when they go away, they never get a second season, and no one really cares. So I think I'm out on this one.
Yeah, remember, the point of Shark Tank is not to make a good anime. Anyone can do that. It's to make a financially successful anime that we're okay with funding. So I get where Mitz is coming from, where this could probably be a good show, and of course with great characters and visuals, yeah, any show would be worth watching. But does this bring something new to the table we're not getting elsewhere? I'm tempted to say no. I do like the crossover idea, but I'm out on this one.
See, I like the idea, and I also find it hard with this segment to focus on the money-making ideas and not necessarily the plot, just the plot. Because while I do like the story, I do think it's very similar to Made in Abyss, especially the name, The Superior Deep. That's very much like Made in Abyss, it kind of sounds like to me. If there was a little bit more specification on the stories that we would encounter, like if you gave an example of the cultures that we would see there, I think I'd be a little bit more inclined to support it. But unfortunately, we only have so much fake money in the world to support these shows with. So I'm sorry, Cooper. It's a no for me.
It's a big mistake with me on this one.
All right, next up.
So savage.
We are savage.
Oh my goodness. I want to remember and remind you all, we love you
We do.
and appreciate you.
Everybody knows who Mr. Wonderful is. It's all just a big goof.
I know.
None of this is to be taken seriously. Crimson Kunai 45 submits the next one. Title: Megiddo-sama. So somebody's been playing a lot of Shin Megami Tensei. Kazuki Yoshizawa is a struggling game programmer about to pitch his first game, only to be drugged and abducted by the nefarious familiar woman. He wakes up, he finds himself in the game he created, Megiddo Saga, along with a dozen female avatars whose motifs vary from magical girls to knights and also succubi. A woman known as Fractal announces that the people gathered have ruined her life in the real world, so they have been banished to this one. Join Kazuki on this mildly ecchi dark fantasy adventure to win the game. Return to Tokyo and expose Fractal for her crimes. But who exactly is Fractal to Kazuki? Profits can be made through creating a gacha game of the same name, as well as crossover events with other gacha games, like AFK Arena and Grand Summoners, plus figures and Daki Makuta of various waifus who could also be sold in various outfits.
I know it's not Shark Tank, but the second you read Succubi, I picture you like hitting your golden buzzer, like insta-pass.
Well, there it is.
I know my man.
I don't know. It sounds interesting. People love ecchi.
The people do. And if you actually made one that was also like fun enough to justify its inclusion, especially with the, isekai format of sorts, video game logic, it would probably do very well.
You
Caroline?
see? I don't like ecchi. I really don't. Especially when it's like, okay, you got this guy and 12 women. It's like, 12 women?
So call it Baker's Dozen.
I know, it's just like, not, okay, so you got a woman who's had like 13 people wronged her. Of course, only one of them's a guy. So obviously this is going to be all about him seeing boobs and touching them and all that. So, yeah, I'm not really into this, sorry. I guess I am a person that will put my fake money on something that I believe in. And unfortunately, ecchi isn't really that for me. So automatically I was kind of like, no.
So I assume that the dozen female avatars were just like game created data, that they weren't actual people brought into the game with him. That would give it.
That's not how I took it. I take it as everybody in there has scorned the girl Fractal in some way, and so she's and so that's why they're there. I don't know.
So I my guess is I don't want to assume too much, but I could see this having some twist to it that could make it interesting. So I'm actually going to be down for it. I think if we're knock our heads together a bit, we could make this into something cool. So despite also not being the biggest fan of ecchi, I'm the big fan of making money, so I will back this.
I think that like just because it's ecchi doesn't necessarily it's going to make a lot of money. Like I mean, we've had other ecchi shows recently that didn't really make their mark. You know, like Hentai HX Eros, for example. I don't really think that this show is any. This concept doesn't sound any more interesting than that concept. You know,
And it sounds a lot like Sword Art Online.
It says mildly ecchi, more dark fantasy.
Well, I would call HX Eros mildly ecchi. I don't know. But so I don't know. I think I'm out. I don't think doesn't sound interesting enough. And there's plenty of ecchi shit out there. I mean, for God's sake, they're coming out with another Ikki Tosen anime here in short order. So I think I'm out. I'm gonna play it.
You're really intriguing because you get these shafts of white light and pure thinking in between a wafer of Nut Bar Factor 6.
All right.
Why does he say these things? Okay, so up next we have El Dino, and he made an episode, or they, I don't know what gender, they made an episode, or anime, called Underdog, all caps, by the way. Number of episode count is 48, and the synopsis
Bold.
is...
I love it.
Field Hockey Pro League, where 8 teams around the world, including Japan, work hard to win the tournament of this mildly popular sport. Moderately, sorry. In the first half, 24 episodes, they follow and get to know all the teams before they face off in the second half, the pitch. Many people wonder what a sports anime would be like from the antagonist team's perspective. This anime will offer a look into the team dynamics and politics of not just one team or country, but 8 teams all around the world. The anime rides on build up and hype. Hence, Production IG will helm the animation. With worldwide release and dubs in multiple languages, the reach alone could generate handsome profits. We can also partner with International Hockey Association to generate more interest in field hockey and in return for sponsorship. The rest, like merchandise, tie-in media, go without saying.
Mason, I feel like this might be up your alley.
You have heard how successful we back hockey anime in the past, so I see where your head's at. I feel like 8 teams to follow at once is simply too many. I think you would either need to pare it down to 4, absolutely max, or you do a much more, as boring as it might sound, classic of you follow one team, and then as they prepare for the upcoming match, you get the shafts of flashbacks to that team's development and learn their personality. Very similar to Haikyuu, and what Haikyuu does so well is, sure, they might be just the new team they're facing. They have blue uniforms, and that's all you know. But by the end of the match, you are intimately familiar with both teams, and that's what Production IG does so well with their sports show. So you pick the right studio for the job. So I like the idea. I think you'd either need to pare it down to 4 teams or go a little more classical. As you said, field hockey, moderately popular at best. No offense, but it just... I mean, I guess, we have the water polo anime coming out, but even then, I think that has a little more renown. So, I get the worldwide release, but at the end of the day, anime fans are already going to be anime fans, and this probably won't make anybody watch anime that they haven't previously, so I don't really think the money making is there. So while this show seems interesting, 48 episodes, 8 teams, I just can't do that, so I'm out.
Unfortunately, I was thinking kind of the same thing. 8 teams is way too much for a person to invest time in, especially at the number of episodes you're looking at. So yeah, 4 teams probably max. Also, nobody really likes to go backward on a story, to start at the beginning for each team before making it to the tournament. So it's going to have to you're probably going to have to revolve each team. And then by the time you get to the next team, you're going to be like, okay, so which team is this again? And what happened in this team again? And you kind of just can't keep track of all that, especially if they're not already invested in this anime. So while the payoff could be good, if people were invested in all these teams and they did get to the final arc of them facing off, it seems like it would rely on a lot of interest from people that might not even be interested in field hockey. So it's an interesting idea, but I agree with Mason. It's probably not going to be popular enough to get the money it needs.
I'm going to have to pass on this one, but for me, it's because there's just too many unanswered questions. First of all, I don't understand how a team can be an antagonist. Like, if you're going to follow a team, I mean, every team is the protagonist in their own mind. Like, it isn't like there's a team that's out there, like, robbing banks or something. You know, it's...
Whoa. The Icelandic hockey team from the Mighty Ducks 2, the most evil team in existence?
Yeah, but if you were to watch that movie from their perspective, they would just be trying to win the cup or whatever. So I'm kind of curious why, like, what makes the team the antagonist team. Also, I'm kind of curious, like, what kind of tone this is going to be. I mean, first of all, I really think that a lot of the appeal of certain sports shows is the characters. Like, you know, they want them to look, you know, appealing looking, and, you know, like Hajime no Ippo succeeds because it has fantastic action. It doesn't succeed because the characters are pretty. Other shows are the opposite. You know, what is this one going to be like? Is it going to be, you know, pretty characters, or are we going to be okay having their teeth knocked out because some guy takes a hockey stick and, you know, and checks some guy in the face with it? You know, I'm not really sure, like, what the tone's going to be like. Although I do think the concept of field hockey sounds really cool, assuming it isn't Remain, which is the water polo anime, which I already know is going to crash and burn because the synopsis was basically, we don't have enough members for our club. Like, God in heaven, please just, for God's sake, anything but that. So I'm going to have to pass on this one. Sorry.
If you were in one of my business school
stop being mean to
classes,
her.
I would spray you down with water, and every time you say I don't know, I'd hit you with an electric cattle prod.
All right.
Jesus
I do want to
Christ.
point out,
Caroline has, like, never
Eldino.
heard these drops before. It's hilarious.
Some of them I haven't.
I do want to point out that Eldino said that, you know, by having all these 8 teams be the focus, there is no, like, antagonist team. It's like, there's usually an antagonist team in most sports show, and this show would get around that by having everyone be, you know, on equal terms. But fair enough. Next one.
Next up.
From Sjinther. It's called Black Cargo. Ooh,
Oh,
ominous.
shit.
The Yakuza take over a small logistics firm in order to get several containers of stolen cars from Chicago to Tokyo for the boss. They send the 7 law-abiding drivers from the firm to get the cargo to San Francisco to load it onto a ship. But what should be an easy task gets increasingly harder as the local Chicago mob, a rival Yakuza gang, an Arab card collector, the FBI, and a local sheriff join the chase after them. The truckers end up getting help from a former runner in a Trans Am, a bus full of Buddhists, a Japanese drift club, a couple of young ladies on the run, a gun club, and the American trucking community as they try to get their convoy westbound and down across the USA. This is an action comedy with a great soundtrack of trucking/western songs. 24 episodes from Wit Studio.
What the hell is this?
This is just a Quentin Tarantino hodgepodge, you know, cannonball run of just wacky races. What was the show that came out not too long ago with Apari
The
Ranman?
Pretender? Oh.
Just, yeah, but yeah, almost like a Great Pretender, where it's just like a very stylized, fast and loose and fun take of Fast and the Furious numbers 1 through 9. I don't know which one it is. But seems like just a lot of energy and fun, and just that will tide people over as just a bunch of cartoonish events occur. So what do you think, Caroline?
You see, I kind of like this idea. The thing is that I don't really get why so many people would be so invested in containers of stolen cars. It doesn't really seem like
What's in them?
it's worth all the effort from all of these different organizations getting together to get the cars back.
It's just cars? That's all they're trying to get?
Just cars.
Yeah, but, you know, there could be like, oh, maybe those 2 ladies left a valuable divorce paper in the thing, and that's what they need to chase
What's in
down
the
to
trunk of
get
the
back. Or exactly what's in the trunk. Or maybe the Yakuza or the mob hid like cocaine in the back paneling, and it's hyper popular. Or what if the Buddhist, like, you could have a reason why each of them is invested in getting whatever they need out or of the cars. So I could see it.
I don't think it would really last 24 episodes, though. I think 12 would be better.
Listen, you can fit a lot of dead hookers in the back of a 4Runner.
Why? What?
He's stating
What?
facts here. He's stating
Just
facts.
facts. I mean, come on.
Sure.
I mean, it could be fun. But no one likes Western songs, so I'm gonna say no. That simple.
For some reason, this reminds me of
suppose
like the great, like the what are those like TV shows where they're trying to race across the country, or
Yeah, that's
World
what I
in
was
80
thinking
Days.
of.
yeah, or the great American Race, or one
Oh,
of
yeah, The
those.
Amazing Race.
The Amazing Race, or I could be on board with this, but we're gonna have to have a negotiation because I think 24 episodes is too long. This seems like way too long for this kind of concept. This is a show. I mean, I say make it 11, throw it on Noitamina or something. 24 is way too many. But
Yeah.
if we can negotiate and get it down to at least 12, I could say it sounds entertaining enough to maybe be. If it has enough style and can capture a little bit of the it factor, it could be a success.
Yeah, I agree. So, I mean, is there like a middle ground? Like, I don't think so the way it is, but we'll talk.
Wow, we're all kind of lukewarm. Were you out, Mason?
Yeah, I'm out. I'm busy trying to find out what the opposite of 10-4 is, so I can say that I disagree with this idea. Though I think it'd be a pretty fun show.
Were you in, Caroline?
If I'm not entirely in, I guess I'm out.
Oh boy. All right. Well, here we go.
Part of what I have to do every day is to try and find opportunities where I put money in harm's way and I get a return. I don't pick places where there are thousands of dead and rotting corpses.
All right. This is the last one we're gonna do, due to time, and then I'll save the rest for next time.
You should. I hate to do it to the guy, but you should skip to the next one because he's in chat right now,
Oh, Caroline, you're up.
and we
Okay.
can put him on the stakes.
Okay, so we got God Emperor of Dune, who has submitted an anime called Fallen. An angel called Belial tells a lie for an angel committing any sin, no matter how small, means being cast into hell. Belial fights for her survival against both the flora and fauna of the hellscape while exploring her new home. In her travels, she meets a handful of other fallen angels, and the group hatch a plan to break into heaven and kill God as revenge for casting them out so easily. The series will be 26 episodes. It will have major appeal to older anime fans due to containing mature themes coupled with the 80s style hyperviolence. Money making. The unique character designs / extensive wardrobes will lead to many variants for figures, Blu-ray releases with exclusive BTS content, such as making of videos and animator interviews. A video game deal for a series of hack and slash games in similar vein to Devil May Cry, cheap to develop but still profitable. Finally, a manga adaptation will start being released for it 1 year from the airing of the final episode, so as to renew interest in the series before it fully dies down.
I love me
Okay.
some 80s acts, some 80s violence.
That's
Yeah.
true.
I don't know if this would make a lot of money or not. I could see if the anime is good. I could see a Devil May Cry style video game being popular. But I'm gonna throw some money at this just as like a labor of love, as a pet project, because I love me some 80s violence, and we don't get any of that anymore. So
I think if it appropriately captured the essence of that era without feeling too campy and forced, it would be like wildly popular, because I know a huge audience of fans are clamoring for it. So you know what?
oh shit.
Those fans by now are older. They got some money to throw at it, and they would like be like, "Oh, if we support this show, it could like help fund shows in the future." So you know what? I think if you capture that nostalgia just right, I think you could have something big. I like it. I'm in.
Yeah, I also like it, though I don't think the anime or the manga adaptation at the end of its interest to keep like to as it dies down. I don't think that's a good idea because sure you can like adapt a manga into an anime and that brings up interest. I feel like adapting anime into manga does not bring much interest because I mean if people are interested in the anime, why would they read the story in manga form? It seems kind of, as much as everybody loves manga, it's not really going to build up a series after it's already been made.
I get you.
Especially when they're like, oh, but it's going to fully die down. Like, you don't want to, like depend on something dying down. So that last little bit kind of made me scratch my head a little bit. But it does seem like a pretty decent idea. So if my compatriots are interested in doing it, I think it's probably a decent idea at the very least. So I guess I'm in as well.
I'd say we got to change the name, though. Just Fallen, I think we got to razzle-dazzle it up a bit.
All right, cool. Well, we liked 2 of them, so that's not too bad, and we put the rest of them back in the mailbag, so we can get to them next time. So, and again, if you guys want to submit these submissions and help out the podcast, you can go over to our mailbag button on our website and submit your own submissions, and we will be equally as cruel to you as everybody else. So. It really,
and you'll like it.
It's Mr. Wonderful, really. I mean, come on. It's not us.
So are we heading
Our hands
into
are tied.
Are we heading into the weekly trivia question then? What are the 4 animals that make up the Pomander pets in Wonder Egg Priority? And we will reveal the answer after the news break.
Hey, Anime Addicts, Mitsuki is here, and I'm bringing you your anime news break. Starting off with an interesting article about anime produced by MAPPA with the support of Netflix. Apparently, Netflix has been offering up some pretty ridiculously low budgets for anime properties produced at MAPPA, suggesting just about the lowest amount that people have seen per cut of an anime being produced. According to Ippei Ichi, an animator that had opened up on Twitter about the conditions at MAPPA and the production rates and such, had clarified to avoid misunderstanding. He says he has an issue with Netflix and that for all the exorbitant amount of capital that they have, it's a problem that they've started to place orders with such low pay rates, that being about $34 per cut. It's a possibility that prices are even lower than they are for a TV series, indicating that Netflix is not necessarily throwing as much money behind some of these anime properties as we might expect, especially with TV series already having pretty low budgets. This compounded on top of the prior complaints about MAPPA taking on 4 anime at once and just driving their employees simply too hard. So we'll keep talking about this news story as it continues. Next up, there are some complaints happening in Japan, of course, about COVID-19 and the Olympics. It looks like the Olympic Committee had to issue tweets about the Olympic Games in Tokyo because of complaints that were used, because anime characters were used to promote the actual Olympics, including Sailor Moon, Luffy, Naruto, Goku, and others. It looks like people are upset that characters such as Atom or Astro Boy would be used to promote the Olympics when that character itself is supposed to be a character of quote-unquote justice. It looks like the head of Tezuka Productions, Rumiko Tezuka, has issued a tweet saying, quote, "The contract for the character's cheering squad was signed after the Tokyo Olympics and Paralympics were decided, and at a time when nobody could have imagined the threat of coronavirus. At the time, everyone was looking forward to the games, and right now the situation has made it so that there are divided opinions regarding whether to continue holding them. But from a business perspective, Atom, or Astro Boy, is participating in the cheering squad as part of the role he was given, just as the other characters in the promotion are all going to do the jobs they have been given, which includes Goku and the others." Of course, this didn't really go over that well on Twitter, as people continue to protest the Olympic Games in Japan in fear of spreading more of the coronavirus. Next up, Madhouse produces a new anime, Goodbye Don Glees, an original anime for 2022. The director is going to be Atsuko Ishizuka. of Sora Yori mo Toi Basho and No Game No Life. Of course, it's being produced by MAPPA. The film depicts the miracle-like encounter of the Don Glees boys at the end of the adventure with friends that began during an unusual summer vacation. The boys arrive in Iceland, the land of flames and ice. What treasures have the boys found by looking at themselves and the transcending of the world? So look out for, always interesting having an original anime coming out, and always nice to see works coming out from Studio Madhouse. And lastly, Ikki Tousen is back in the news with Shin Ikki Tousen getting an anime adaptation from its manga. It looks like this was announced pretty recently. The series is going to be airing on ATX in 2022. The ecchi anime series of Ikki Tousen had its first season way back in 2003 from JC's staff, and it also had seasons in 2007 and 2008 as well. So, and it looks like TNK produced the fourth season in 2010, which I had forgotten about. If you're a fan of Ikki Tousen, it just won't go away. More panty shots to come. So look forward to that. This was Mitsugi, and this was your anime news break. And now, time to get back to the podcast. Hey, Anime Addicts, this podcast is brought to you by nobody. And if you want to help keep this podcast ad-free, you can go to www.aa. You know what? Honestly, guys, if you haven't supported the podcast by now, there's literally nothing I can do to make you support the podcast. Even the sight of my tears and my begging and crying and clawing will not get you to support the podcast. But if you did find it in your heart somewhere to support us, you can do it over at aapodcast.com/join. You can also go to patreon.com/AAA podcast. Throw us a couple bones. We will be ad-free. You'll get hentai. You'll get hobby addicts. You'll get, you know what we have. Honestly, just help us out. We're desperate here. And back to the podcast soon.
And now, great moments in Anime Addicts Anonymous history.
So my next one is Island, which was not originally one of my top 5. It just kind of came into my lap because
I'm excited to hear about this.
Because like the way the picks fell out. One of the comments on my anime list, I think says this best. It is from a user Light Kira 13, and he or she says, this island is about an island. The main character, Island, travels back in time to an island. He meets an island girl on the island named Island who sings about the island.
Yes.
On the island, he sexually islands another island girl named Island.
That's fantastic.
This island is about an island. The scenery features an island depiction of an island. The voice actors sound like islands and have islanders living on the island. This island is about an islander who needs islanders who go through Icelandic problems on an island in the middle of an island. Everything about this island is so island. This island is about an island.
Sounds like a Steam review.
I am failing the shit out of the show.
Out of 5, how many islands are you going to give it?
I'm going to give it an island within the island, in which making it not really an island at all.
Welcome back to the podcast. When we left you guys, we had a trivia question for you. What are the 4 animals that make up the Pomander pets? And Wonder Egg priority. A chameleon, a tortoise, a snake, and a crocodile. They're all like reptiles or whatever, amphibians.
Pokemon.
Digimon.
Oh, shit. Well, we haven't done this segment in quite a while because oftentimes we'll sometimes place the hot new release items in the opening portion of the podcast. But we do have some hot new releases for you today. So I think I'd like to talk about them with you. So here we go.
It's time for hot new anime releases.
All right, there's some really good shit here today, so let's get through it here. First up, the video game Legend of Mana is getting an anime adaptation. So very sort of, I don't want to use the word legendary to describe Legend of Mana, but it is a renowned video game franchise, which includes also The Secret of Mana and The Trials of Mana, which were released for the Super Nintendo in 1993 and 1995, respectively. So it's going to be produced by Animation Studios Graphinica, who did Hellsing Ultimate and Juni Taisen, and also Yokohama Animation Lab, who worked on Lapis Relights. So Square Enix published this first game in the Mana series as a Final Fantasy spinoff. It is an RPG series, and I'm gonna click on the link here and take a look at the promo art, see how that's looking, and it does look very Legend of Mana-esque, very pretty sort of fantasy, whimsical looking game. Have you guys played these games? Does this sort of thing interest you when these old games get made into a series as sort of a rebirth?
I haven't really heard anything about this game before, but just showing my age, I guess. But it could be interesting. I like when we get some like classic stories that people are fans of and they get adapted. So it seems like it'll be a little bit more different from the modern stories that are being told over and over again.
How about you, Mason?
I've played maybe 1 hour of Legend of Mana, and it's all right, but I can't say I'm really all that thrilled to see an anime for it. I mean, I'll watch it if it's good, but it's not like I'll be like, oh, this will give me a reason to go back and play the original. Saying that now, maybe I'll watch it and I love it, and it does force me to go back and play it. But right now, I'd much rather have like an Earthbound or Mother 2, whatever you want to call it. That would make an awesome anime.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd be completely down for that.
It's not my first choice. Like, I'd rather have like a Final Fantasy 9 or like a Lunar. I would just like shit my pants immediately right here on camera for sure. If they made Lunar into an anime, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. Arc the Lad got made into an anime, and that's in the same vein as some of these other titles. So, and that anime was not very good, but it was made into an anime. Next up, also pretty interesting, Mappa and Madhouse are producing an anime together called Tact OP Destiny. It's going to be coming out next season in the fall of 2021. It's an original work. Madhouse, I feel like they weren't in the news very much, and all of a sudden they've been in the news. Like, they've got all these original shows coming out. It seems like every week now they've had another new like original coming out under their umbrella. So it's pretty interesting. I like Madhouse. They've been around since the 80s, and they've made a lot of my favorite OVAs from the 80s and have done just a lot of great work since then. And they've done a lot of, I think they did like Parasite and a couple other really, really popular shows that have come out in the last few years. So I'm just happy to see sort of a Mappa and Madhouse working together. Two great studios that are, legendary studios that are getting some, some collaboration together. What do you guys think?
I think you're going to really dig this one, Mitch. It seems very based on the classical music, especially the piano.
Oh, okay.
So it's based like a guy like will conduct the people with their powers, I think. I don't know, but I think it'll be more up your alley than something like the Macross series, which is a little more pop based.
I can see that the title has like classical music notation in it, so it's yeah, that could be cool. How about you, Caroline?
I mean, I don't know much about it, but based on what you have said about it, sounds like it might be interesting.
Based on what was in the news break about like Netflix not paying jack shit to have animes made lately, I really hope that this isn't one of those. It sounds like Netflix is like paying some of these studios about as small of an amount of money as they can to get anime made. So hopefully this isn't one of those that gets sort of like cut down on its budget. Next up, maybe the biggest item here is Fruits Basket's getting a side story called Kyoko to Katsuya no Monogatari, or the story of Katsuya and Kyoko. It's going to focus on, it's going to adapt chapters from volume 16 of the original manga, centering around, you guessed it, Kyoko and Katsuya, who are the parents of Toru Honda. It's going to debut in 2022. Miyuki Sawashiro of Noragami and Yoshihisa Hosoya of Bungo Stray Dogs are going to reprise their roles as those two characters in the story. Fruits Basket has been probably one of the top shows of every season it's come out in so far since the remake happened. So
thereabouts.
Easily, yeah.
So I can't really think of a reason why this isn't a hot new release. So, and I guess has never been adapted before into an anime. I don't believe. unlike the regular story, which was done like back in the 90s or 2000s or whatever that was. Are any of you guys watching Fruits Basket? Does this get you pretty excited?
I mean, I'm like in the middle of season 2. I kind of dropped after having to watch other things, and I kind of just forgot about it. And I've been meaning to get back into it. I will finish Fruits Basket one day, and when I do, I will probably get into this side story, because I always thought like Toru's family life was interesting. So, it's nice that they're adapting everything that these fans really wanted from Fruits Basket, because you got the original fans of the anime, but it doesn't really follow the manga that was made for it. So I'm glad that they're going in all in on adapting things that the fans really wanted.
Well, I know that Pancake's watching Fruits Basket religiously and loves it. So, and are you watching Fruits Basket, Mason?
I am not.
Me neither. And lastly, I just wanted to throw this in there because I have no idea how this is happening. Skate is getting another anime season.
Well, we don't know if it's a season yet. It's a project. It could be a movie.
Project. Okay. Well.
Or an OVA or something.
Oh, man. I don't know. I guess we just didn't get enough love hug.
We never got enough love hug.
We could all use more love hugs in our life.
Oh, my God. Okay.
I do want to mention really quick, Maddie Gamer in the chat, speaking about the Legend of Mana thing, just said that the HD remake just came out for Steam and the Switch, which is probably why this is coming out now, to help raise awareness for that. So, anime as a big commercial is back at it. So, there you go.
I would think that the game would. It's probably more effort to make an anime than it is to res up the graphics on a game, right? So
probably
you would think that maybe the game is a commercial for the anime.
I mean, that's what the whole like The World Ends With You that just came out. Like, sure, they're getting people excited for the anime, but they're like, hey, there's the Neo revision HD. Like, it's all hand in hand.
All right. Well, that's the hot new releases. Are you guys ready to move on to something different? Mailbags?
Mailbags, yeah.
It's time for an almighty anime mailbag. Anime.
Mailbag.
This mailbag comes from Louis the Cat, who submitted it through aaapodcast.com. Just hit the mailbag button and send us any sort of discussion topic or question that you might have. So Louis the Cat writes, "Hello, hosts and Misugi. I've seen in various manga and anime showing that characters actually do have sexual relationships, as opposed to the usual hand-holding is sinful tropes that we've been given over the years. Do you guys think that we have finally reached the age where relationships are shown more realistically in anime, with characters showing desire towards each other? Or will we forever be stuck with hand-holding being the pinnacle of anime love? Hi, Mason." The end.
I'll tell you where the pinnacle of anime love is. It's called hentai.
I thought you were going to say love hugs.
Oh, well, love hugs. Well, that's that true. I don't know. I don't really see much advancement in relationships in anime, to be honest. I don't know. I think there's a reason for this, honestly, but I actually, some part of me thinks that like anime characters don't have these like very serious relationships for the same reason why idol girls don't have relationships, and because I think that they're treated the same way in a lot of senses, where, and by that I mean there's like a fantasy going on with the viewers, and having that deters from that. But I don't know, have we had anime recently where like real relationships were occurring, like other than the occasional show like that kind of gets there but then sort of doesn't?
I mean it's a lot of work. We're getting closer on the right track with some shows. I mean, Horimiya, Tsukigakurai, maybe. I mean, there's the Love is Hard for Woku one was kind of had its moment. Like, there's shades of it, and I agree with you, Mitz. Like idol shows and adult culture and like shonen shows, like yeah, those like ultra pure stuff are never gonna advance anywhere, and I'm not expecting progress from there. But we still get some shows now and then they're slowly toying with the idea of not being so cartoonish about it. So I feel like we're getting there. We're getting there, people. We just have to have incredible patience. Maybe by the time I'm like 70, we'll get a good anime romance.
I mean, I feel I didn't really, notice much of a difference between anime romances now and then. I haven't really been paying attention to the trends. But I would think that anime romances back then would be a little bit more adult than the anime romances now, but I could be wrong. But my guess may be that might be because, the growing popularity of anime, they would want to get very reliable ratings to make it even more popular and to get more money from it. But if you make romance anime, that might not be as palatable to the common denominator of the audience, then, they're going to try to make it as vanilla as possible. So that would just be my take on it, but I can't say that it's a professional opinion.
I don't know. It's like this sort of like bleeds into a larger conversation about like society and cultures, but I feel like if in real life, like a lot of people like go on 3 dates and then they go and they have sex or whatever. Like it just happens. Like and in fact, I think a lot of times if you get 3 dates in, you're kind of lucky. You virtually never see that in anime. Not that I'm saying that's necessarily what I'm looking for, but if you were to look for that more like realistic sort of interaction between men and women, in relationships, there are anime like that are hentai, but they're kind of not like for example, there's that, I'm looking at it right here, Yubisaki Kata Honki no Netsujo 2. That's that show about that firefighter that like rescues that girl from that burning building and they end up like dating and then they have sex and stuff or whatever. Like it is a hentai, but like, in relationships, like it does, that stuff does happen. So, but like I can't really say, oh, hentai is the place to go for realistic relationships, because it's so just foul and just depraved most of the time that I think it goes like beyond what is really realistic. But these like firefighter shows and stuff, or that show where like that we were doing on our hentai episodes, where the girl like fell through the hole in the ceiling of the apartment building and like landed in the guy's apartment. Like some of these sort of like short runtime, less like more ecchi shows that get censored and get released, and then there's like an uncensored version that you can watch somewhere else. That might be more realistic. I don't know. If you guys,
I don't know. I feel like it's all relative. Like I feel like even shows that might be trashy, like Scum's Wish or like Domestic or